Hey there, Minnesota Viking fans. If you've made it this far, welcome. This is a group therapy session here at the Purple People Podcast between Kyle West and myself. How are you today, sir? Show everybody what you're drinking right now.
Oh, it is. So this is what the Vikings lead us to do. It is we have wine when we sit down and discuss the Minnesota Vikings. They cause us to drink. You're in Minnesota.
I don't have it with me. It's on the bed over there, but I bought a Vikings face mask, and I will ride down with this team into flames, which is exactly where they're headed. This is episode 411, the Great CornJulio. Fantastic name.
Love that title. Love that show title.
I stole it from Google. I'm not that clever. I'm not Adam Carlson, and we miss him dearly today. Yeah, I got that as a fantasy football name. Like when Teddy Bridgewater was the quarterback, it was show me your Teddies instead of TDs. So I enjoyed that a lot. We've already got someone in the chat. Jason, what's up, man? Thanks for joining and commenting, man. We're going to talk about the state of the team today. We're going to talk about the passing of Sid Hartman and how tragic that was. And, yeah, we're just going to see what's up for the bye week. Kyle and I just said right before I hit record to start to go live, major news will always happen an hour after the show's over because that's what our luck is. Right. So let's just hop right into it. The Vikings are 1-5, and none of us predicted them to be this bad. They lost to the winless Atlanta Falcons yesterday. It was not even close. The Falcons showed up after Dan Quinn, their head coach, was fired last week for going 0-5, and the interim head coach came and motivated the crap out of those guys. The Vikings were shut down in pretty much every way. They bombarded Kirk Cousins. The Vikings only had like 32 rushing yards, and Julio Jones and Matt Ryan looked like they were running a clinic. So it was an all-around shit show yesterday for this team, but that's the season in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think the most frustrating aspect of the game against Atlanta was not the fact that the Vikings lost. You know, if you lost by a touchdown, a field goal, it was close, competitive. It happens. NFL team. Any NFL team on any day can upset another team. I think you look at the fact that there was never a point that Minnesota was in that game. Stats lie. You look at Kirk Cousins' statistics overall, and you go, that is not. You have to look at what he did in the first half. 3 interceptions in the first half. The first interception to start the game, they never recovered from that point on. They looked woefully unprepared. They were flat out beat by Atlanta. That was an embarrassing performance, and they're lucky that there were no fans in attendance for that one because they would have got booed out of U.S. Bank Stadium. That was as bad of a game as we have seen in the Mike Zimmer era.
Yep. To back up what you were saying, looking at the scoreboard, by halftime it was 20-0. I'm here 10 points in the first, 10 points in the second for Atlanta, nothing for Minnesota. Kirk Cousins threw 3 interceptions on the day, and those were all in the first and second quarter. Like you mentioned, one to start the game off. The Vikings got the ball, and the first play from scrimmage was an interception. Kirk looks out of sorts. He does not look confident. And I'm going to start this by saying I'm not defending Kirk Cousins because I don't want him on the team anymore. I'm just going to defend him in the aspect of saying this team did him no favors last year nor this year as far as the interior line goes. Yes, they drafted Garrett Bradbury, and I like his projection. I think it's going up. But even he still is having sophomore slump plays, and the only competency on the offensive line is on the outside at the tackle position. Everything else in the middle needs an upgrade. I think Garrett Bradbury is safe to keep his job, but the guard play is terrible, and that's just incompetence on Rick Spielman's part, and you have to blame him to start. We kind of already went on our little rants here for a fast break. Before we break the game down, we'll give away game balls and donkeys, and I'll let you go first.
Well, I think the only bright spot on really in this team, but this game in particular, is the play of Justin Jefferson, the rookie wide receiver that the Minnesota Vikings drafted. He looks like he is every bit as good as advertised is what we were hoping for. He had another 100-plus yard performance, 2 touchdowns on the game. I am a big fan of Justin Jefferson. He's able to play inside, outside. He has excellent hands. He's a good route runner. He is a great piece of the Minnesota Vikings that they will be able to build around for a long time here in Minnesota. So I am very thankful to have Justin Jefferson on the field for Minnesota.
Yeah, that was what I wanted to use as well. I'm going to pick someone different just for conversation's sake. But, yeah, Justin Jefferson was lights out yesterday, 166 yards, 11 targets, 9 receptions, and not only 1 but 2 touchdowns yesterday. He is a bright young spot to replace Stephon Diggs, and he and Thielen are going to be a nice tandem. Skull Prod, we're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about that here in just a second. I'm going to give my game ball to a little unorthodox here because he did have a couple of up and down plays. But overall, Cameron Dantzler did a nice job yesterday.
Yeah.
2.5 tackles for loss, 9 solo tackles, and 11 total. Could have went with Eric Kendricks, but I don't want to give a game ball to him every week. We go without saying on this show that Eric Kendricks is arguably the best player on the team right now. With Neil Hunter being absent and Justin Jefferson vying for that spot. Sometimes Dalvin Cook because it goes through him when he's on the field. But Eric Kendricks is always a top 1, 2, 3 at worst player on this team. But Cameron Dantzler, I saw you yesterday. I saw you make strides. Guarding Julio Jones is no easy feat. But I didn't want to just piggyback on the Justin Jefferson train. So, yeah, Cameron Dantzler. There you go.
Cam Dantzler is a good pick. I like Cam Dantzler. They're asking a lot from the kid. He's been put into a terrible defense where there is virtually no help in that secondary for him. And he's having to figure it out as a rookie. He's having his welcome to the NFL rookie moments where he gives up a couple big plays here and there. I think the future overall looks good for Cam Dantzler, which transitions very well into my donkey. I hate doing this when players get injured, but man, I'm looking at Mike Hughes.
Yep.
He's out again with another injury. When he's on the field, he's a non-factor. I don't know whether or not that has to do with his health or the lack of talent around him, but I am just not feeling it for Mike Hughes and the Minnesota Vikings. He's getting close to having that bust label attached to his name, in my opinion.
Jason T, you make a very good point. It's just not a good position for a rookie corner to be in, but I like him, and I love the Gladney picks because they're 2 different physical specimens. Gladney's smaller, but he's definitely a dog, and I said that when we drafted him and watched the highlights. Dantzler's got the size to be kind of like Xavier Rhodes if he could fill out a little more and be physical, so he'll play into it. But yeah, lost in the headlights, tough spot for him to be thrown into like that, and that's 100%. That's a true fan recognizing that. That's a terrible spot for him to be in. It is what it is. We have to play someone, and I'd rather have him out there than Chris Boyd. Holton Hill's all right, but I would rather have him out there. Yeah, Mike Hughes might be a complete bust if injuries are true. That's too bad. It is, and
it's unfortunate.
Team from UCF was nice, and I love the pick. It was a heartwarming pick. But at this point, yeah, it's looking like he's turning into a bust, which sucks. I hate that for him.
I mean, injuries are unfortunate. Sometimes it just happens. You have good players, players with a lot of potential. Sharif Floyd, they get injured, and they just don't ever get their way back onto the team. Mike Hughes has that injury bug. I don't know. As a Vikings fan, I want him to stay healthy and turn into that number 1 shutdown corner. I'm just not seeing it for the guy right now.
I'm watching the Bills' defensive tackle chasing down a running back, which we could have used now, and I wish that he would have fallen to us.
There's a lot of stuff I wish the Vikings would have done. Hey, how nice would it have been to have Antoine Winfield Jr. right now?
I think the Vikings did the smart thing to do. You had a big void to fill in Stephon Diggs, and you needed a corner desperately with all the loss there. I don't think Jeff Gladney is going to be a bust by any means, just by the way he plays. I don't like the size, but not everybody can be 6'4" and play corner. You know what I mean? So it is what it is.
Right.
Mason T, you're on fire today with your comments. I appreciate that. So is Skull Prod. Thank you guys so much. My donkey is pretty obvious, and I don't give a shit. Kirk Cousins is done. I'm never going to support him after this game. The Vikings are dumb for extending him, and we're just going to get ready to everything.
Let's rip into it.
I don't mean anything negative to his family. I don't mean it negative. I'm not going to question his character. I think he's one of the nicest, greatest humans off the field. Kirk Cousins sucks as a quarterback. He is exactly who we thought he was. He's a 500 quarterback at best. He will lose to good teams. He will beat bad teams, and he will absolutely choke it up in prime time. And he makes terrible decisions. Now, I will go back and say, like I said 10 minutes ago, the Vikings do not help him. One of those interceptions yesterday, not his fault. The interior line, we actually have a photo of that.
Can you put that photo up?
Yeah, I can find it and put it up so while we talk about this. But the interior of this line is terrible, and that is all to blame on Rick Spielman for not doing a better job at drafting guards. I appreciate him trying to go after a center last year because you had to, because Pat Elflein is just fucking terrible. But I don't understand what and who's on the practice squad right now? Josh Klein. I mean, what are we doing? What is going on there? I don't know. This is the image I want all of you guys to see because it needs to be shown. This was a play yesterday on that tipped interception.
Mm-hmm.
So there we have Garrett Bradbury doing his best canoe paddle on his butt.
Sitting on his ass on the turf. You got Ezra Cleveland, who, if you listen to the show, I'm a really big fan of Ezra Cleveland. Now they got the rookie playing out of position, so they're not doing him any favors. He's essentially facing the wrong direction over here. We got the guy that everyone wants to cut, Riley Reese, the only one looking like an NFL offensive lineman over there on the side. And Kirk Cousins is just absolutely surrounded by Atlanta Falcons there on the field. That's disappointing to look at.
It's tough to look at, but I love the throw. I love the play last year in the Saints game. I love that the Vikings beat inferior opponents. I think, 7 out of 8 games or 6 out of 7 games in October,
whatever.
Last year. But they're not even close to with this quarterback. Now, I'm not talking about the defense. The offense is great. Minus, I think Kyle and I both agree that Kyle Rudolph could probably be gone just because he's a big salary cap hit. Love him to death. If he'll take a pay cut and play for what he's worth, I'd love him to stay. But Kirk Cousins sucks. And here's the thing, Viking fans, he's going to be here next year. There's no way he's not going to be here next year. As we talked about in our group chat yesterday, he's got a cap hit next year and the year after, and that was a terrible decision by the Vikings front office.
There is a lot to digest and talk about right now. You touched upon 4 topics that I want to discuss all at once. So let's start from the top here. Kirk Cousins, his play in the first half of that game, if you're just going on purely his performance-based, the 3 interceptions, the terrible play, he should have been benched at halftime. There's absolutely no performance-based. There's absolutely no reason why Kirk Cousins came out and started the second half for the Minnesota Vikings. That was as piss poor of a performance as I have seen since Christian Ponder was the quarterback for this team. That was absolutely atrociously terrible. They can't, because the Minnesota Vikings, thanks to poor leadership from the top, that is including Rick Spielman and Mike Zimmer, have absolutely nobody behind Kirk Cousins because they are terrified, absolutely terrified that this was going to happen. And they knew that if they signed Cam Newton, even an Andy Dalton, that the locker room would immediately split, because Pat McAfee has said this. Talent recognizes talent, and they know this backup is better than the guy that's starting. That will split a locker room, because they will know. That is 100% why this team did not sign Cam Newton, because you would have Adam Thielen pounding his fist on the table to say, bench this fucking guy right now. So it is the fault of the leadership and this organization that we are absolutely screwed at the quarterback position. With that said, Kirk Cousins will probably come out after the bye week and have a 3-touchdown game where he throws for 400 yards and looks really good because that's what he does. He plays up and he plays down.
I would love to agree with you, but we're playing the Packers in Green Bay. He's going to look like shit again.
Well, yeah.
He's going to play like shit again. I love what you said. I'd clap, but I don't want to go into the microphone and ruin everything you said there. They fucked
He's
up.
not a leader.
The front office fucked up on this one, and I apologize for this. We're super butthurt after this game because there's even a guy out there right now who got cut by the Rams, Blake Bortles. I'd throw him in there because he's cheaper. I know he's better than Sean Mannion, and he's gotten to an AFC Championship game the same year Case Keenum got to an NFC Championship game. At this point, I'd probably take him over Kirk Cousins. And now we've seen Blake Bortles play. Whatever. Here we go, guys. Thank you, Ryan. I mean, he's playing terrible. We've seen him play very well before, but the problem with Kirk is he's not an athletic guy enough like Russell Wilson or Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson to get out of the pocket and run. So he's got to have a clean pocket. He can run play action pretty well, but that's super predictable. If you go and listen to Chris Sims Unbuttoned, any of the episodes in the offseason, especially right after the season was over and doing evaluation on teams, he'll tell you, he says, I don't like the offense here. I think it's boring. I think it's very predictable and boring. Heard him say that multiple times about Minnesota. The problem that I have with Kirk is he's never going to win you that game. He's always going to lose that game that you need to win. And what sucks about the Atlanta game, I don't care. The playoffs were done for us anyways. There's only been like 10 teams since the early 2000s that went 1-4 and went to the postseason. That's fine. But the problem is you play so bad so quickly, you can't get yourself out of it. And then you leave your defense on the field, and then the time of possession gets lost, and then you're screwed. Because what do you have to do after that? You have to keep throwing the ball. And when you're terrible with the ball, this is the game that comes to you. And this is where we got to transition, dude. Is it time to fire Spielman or Zimmer, or do we wait? That is the question.
And one more point I want to loop back to really quick, and then we'll talk about that. So I think with Kirk Cousins, I think the best case scenario for Minnesota is almost regardless of where we finish in the draft. And at this point, top 5 pick looks incredibly likely for this team. You're drafting yourself a rookie quarterback. We're pretty much stuck with Kirk Cousins for next season, 2021. So I think you kind of look into going into 2021 with Kirk Cousins as your starter. We're in full-on rebuild mode. So you go ahead, you start Kirk, you keep the rookie, you do the Patrick Mahomes thing, where you keep the rookie underneath your Alex Smith, and then after one season, you kind of jettison Kirk Cousins, and we let the rookie step in and take over. I think that's about the best case scenario moving forward for the Vikings and for Kirk Cousins. As for Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman, just based on the fact that the salary cap is almost definitely going down based on league revenue as a whole being down, within just extending the contracts of both of those guys, I don't see the organization being willing to move on from either of them. It's frustrating as a fan after a loss like that. I'm ready to be like, fire all of them. But I do still kind of believe in Mike Zimmer. I do think he's a good coach. I think he's been put in a bad situation from Rick Spielman, where when he had his most success, they were able to invest heavily in the defensive side of things. As soon as this team spent a boatload of money for Kirk Cousins, and we had to start, we got to get rid of our pieces. We got to get rid of the Linval Josephs of the world. The defense falls apart, and Kirk Cousins is not the guy to make up for it. He can't make up for the lack of the pieces that we used to have on defense. So that's a reflection of Rick Spielman. I don't know. What do you think?
I think there are 4 quarterbacks in this league I would pay that money to right now, based on performance and just because of their overall elite talent. Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Russell Wilson. That's it. Everybody else can be negotiated for. I think Dallas was smart not to give Dak a shitload of money. I think they offered him a great contract, and we hope that he recovers well. But I think it was a great move. Hey, we're going to franchise you. Here's $34 million for the year. Prove your contract. And that's what the Vikings should have done. They shouldn't have extended him. If you wanted to franchise Kirk, whatever, you could figure it out later and be like, hey, we gave you guaranteed money. Prove it year. You proved yourself, and we're going to roll with you for the next 4 years. I'd be cool with it. But as we mentioned earlier, they screwed themselves. I'm not on the fire Mike Zimmer train. I am definitely okay with them evaluating Spielman and seeing if he needs to go. If you go over to I'm going to change.
Do you think that's a situation that could happen? Is there a situation where the Wilfs believe that, hey, we still believe in Mike Zimmer. We're going to move on from Rick Spielman and find ourselves a general manager who is willing to roll with him for a couple seasons, prove it?
Well, we can't predict the future, and I know that a lot's going to happen because this is a COVID season. You have to remember, if this team had Danielle Hunter healthy and Michael Pierce, I think they'd look a lot different. I think that's a good crutch for Mike Zimmer and his agent to fall back on and be like, hey, you got rid of all my defensive players. I'd like to keep some of them, but I couldn't because we gave all our money to the fucking quarterback. But I don't know, man. Here's my thought on that. I'm just going to go back to this because I had it up and I want to talk about it because I like it a lot. If you go over to Vikings.com, which I have up here, one of Adam Carlson's counterparts, Adam Patrick, does really good work there. This was earlier today, wrote this, said Mike Zimmer never wanted to sign Kirk Cousins. And I'm going to read this to you. And it's a little long, but you need
I read that too. That was really interesting.
So I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to keep this here, and I'm going to put this on the screen while we talk about it. And I want everyone that's watching the show, I want you to realize why I want to stand on board with this guy, because after reading this, it makes a lot of sense. I'm just going to go ahead and share it now. So I have it highlighted for you, and we'll read it out loud. Mike Zimmer says, the thing that I told Rick was when we sat down in meetings, I said, look, we've won this many games in these many years because of this football team. We've played really good on defense for the most part. This year, obviously, we played so much better on offense, and we're able to go further than what a lot of people thought that we would. It's important that we continue to put the pieces in place on defense. What I don't want to do is say, okay, here's this one thing that we're going to do this, and then we're going to take away from the rest of the things that have gotten us to this point. So right there, the one thing is a quarterback that you pay a shitload of money, and that's going to take away from the rest of the things that have gotten us to this point, which is the defense. Rob Brzezinski, our cap guy, does an outstanding job of saying, okay, if we do this, then we're going to have to give up here. If we do this, then we're going to have to do this. If we do this, we can add here and add there. So I think all of those things come into play. This is the nicest way to keep and save face for Mike Zimmer to say, we shouldn't have spent money on a quarterback. That's all I say it.
I understand what the thinking of the front office was. You wanted to upgrade over top of Case Keenum. I actually don't fault them for going after Kirk Cousins the first time. First time. It's the contract extension prior to the season that's really the biggest fault that you can point to, and you can go, you've not only hurt the team for this season, but for a couple years in the future now. Now we're really screwed because it's not working.
And another thing to your point is another reason why I wouldn't. You can say what you want about the guy, whatever, but you saw it on the opposite side as well with Adam Thielen. When Stephon Diggs wants out and doesn't like the quarterback and you see Adam Thielen yelling at the guy, you don't extend him. You don't. You just don't do it. And I've said this on the show before, and I know Kyle's heard me say this a million times. So would Adam if he listens to or has listened before. I use the Colin Cowherd method that I think is super fair. You take a guy's best season and his worst season and you throw it out. What is he in the bulk of everything? And Kirk Cousins is 9-7, 7-9, 8.
if you remember back to when we were all trying to drink the Kool-Aid about bringing Kirk Cousins to Minnesota and talking ourselves into why this was going to be a good fit, what we talked about was, and most should have been a one, yeah, totally. The level of talent, we're going to give Kirk Cousins the best supporting cast that he's ever had. We have such a greater level of talent than what he had in Washington that he will succeed here in Minnesota. Unfortunately, what's happened is because you have to pay the quarterback so much money, so much guaranteed money, we're losing the talent around him. And you're seeing that he's not able to make up for it. So we're losing the Stephon Diggs. We're losing the talent out there on defense. We're taking these pieces away, and he's not able to overcome that. He's not able to overcome that hurdle. So what we're left with is what we've seen in Washington.
It's easy to sit here and play armchair GM and coach and all that stuff now, but it's what we do here. So yeah, as much as I hate some of the guys, I watch other podcasts and the Viking videos, and I laugh at them because I'm like, oh, you're trying to be Stephen A. Smith and be all hard, and this other guy's just like no context and no backup of information. It's just like fire Mike Zimmer. It's like, no, let's break it down here. That's what we do at this show. You've got to protect your quarterback, man. And you have to know at heart, like I already talked about the record and his production before, but what kind of skill set does he have? He's accurate, he's got a good arm, and he's good at play action. But all that depends on a good pocket. And if you look at the O-line rankings, they're up and down like a heartbeat monitor at the hospital year in and year out. But what's been consistent? We talked about it in that article. The defense has been awesome since Zimmer got here. And you knew going in it was going to be lost this season because you had so much change. But you're like, oh, Zimmer will figure it out. And then COVID happened.
Right.
All these things that we're going to take into consideration. I hate that. I hate that it might come to that. I don't know that it's like we talked about, when the Case Keenum thing was going on, hey, if you get rid of him, you got to get someone better, right? If Zimmer goes, he's going to be a defensive coordinator, as Kyle has said in our chat many times. He's going to go to a team who needs a good defense, and they're going to go to a Super Bowl because that's what he's going to do. I just hope that if the Vikings ownership comes in and says, we're going to rebuild, I hope they really and truly understand where the league has gone and how this team is kind of playing catch up. You have a great pair of wide receivers. You have a fantastic running back. And if you can protect a decent quarterback, you're going to win games because you're going to score a lot of points. I hope that if they do fire Zimmer, which I don't think is the right decision at this time, they get a guy who will come in and be like, hey, man, we're going to light everybody up on the field, and we're going to do what Aaron Rodgers does in Green Bay. I would hope that. We know Minnesota's known for its defense, but that's just my personal thing because if you can bend not break and you can have a really good stud quarterback who scores points and can win you a game, I think that's where the NFL has been in the last 3 to 4 years.
Right.
But I think the Vikings are just behind on that. And I don't know, man. I think we're about this far away from being like, fuck it, it's rebuild. Let's go. I hope not, but they have a rough stretch coming up. They have all 3 divisional opponents coming up. 2 of them are on the road, and they're not going to beat Green Bay. They're not going to beat Chicago. So that's going to be a 1-7 team. This might be a 4-win football team this year, man.
We'll be competitive with Detroit, who is about that far away from firing Matt Patricia and his pencil. We got some awesome comments going on here in the chat, too. That one is the one that I agree with. It's that we're making Stephon Diggs look correct. We're making Diggs look like he was valid in wanting to get away from Minnesota.
Absolutely. Nick Foles would have been a cool pickup. I really wish that they would have looked.
They don't want competition.
I like the Cam Newton thing, man. And I know it's a flyer, but if you have somebody who's innovative enough to use his stuff and his skills to what he could do, he's rough to predict, man, because he's huge. And Jason, we've said this already. The interior of the line is terrible, so I'm not going to dispute that whatsoever.
What's disappointing is that it's been terrible for a number of years now. and they can't seem to fix it.
Nope. Skull Prod, the only thing that sucks here is how do you convince a guy who's an offensive guru to come into a quarterback who sucks that you're tied to for at least another year and say, hey, we're in full rebuild, but blank. I'd give him a 3-4 year thing to start. Like Matt Rule in Carolina, I think he got like a 7-year deal, and they're like, hey, look, this is what it is. This is a good comment.
Remember, Eric Bieniemy was in Minnesota. He was our running backs coach. And so also, if you're, I don't know, if I'm Eric Bieniemy, why do I want to leave Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, call plays for Patrick Mahomes? Let me win like 4 more Super Bowl rings as his offensive coordinator. And then when Bill Belichick finally retires in New England, then I'm going to, I'll head out and go down to New England and coach for that franchise. Like, I really don't know if I'm him. I don't know why I'm in any hurry to leave that team. Who knows? Maybe Andy Reid is going to retire in a couple years and you just move right on up and take over after Andy Reid and continue on in that situation. I don't think I leave Kansas City.
There wouldn't be a need to. I think Andy Reid will stay there as long as he can because now he's a national treasure there and he can do no wrong. I want to bring this comment up because Jason's got the right idea. There's just a formula that you have to nail. You have to 100% nail it. Jason says, I agree, don't fire Zimmer, just go back to the formula they had. Okay, but my problem here is Alex Smith and Teddy Bridgewater. They are never going to win you a Super Bowl. They're going to get you to the playoffs, be lucky to win a game, and then you're going to get throttled in the next round. It's going to happen. Here's what you do. You get a rookie quarterback who doesn't cost any money, and you get him for 5 years, and then you do what Baltimore's doing right now. Find someone who can build him up, use the skill players around, and you go compete for a championship.
Yeah.
That's what you do. It's this formula with a rookie who's way better than Kirk that you don't have to pay a shitload of money to. I like it. I don't want to see a Smith or a Bridgewater on the team anymore. We've seen that happen, and we know how that story ends. And I love Teddy. Teddy's awesome, and he's one of my favorite Minnesota Vikings ever. But he ain't going to win a Super Bowl for anybody. He's a bridge guy, no pun intended. So I want to see them go after like a stud. And if you have to give up the house for that, so fucking be it. If you got to give up 2 first-rounders and a key player, do it. But could you imagine if somebody like Trevor Lawrence came to the Vikings? Minnesota wouldn't know what to do. Now, it would be our luck that something terrible would happen to him. But I think what Jason was saying is a great idea, but you got to get someone that's going to elevate because we've seen this story before with Zimmer. You can have a killer defense. Hell, we went 13-3 with a backup quarterback. Seen it. But when they had to face real competition, especially on the road, I already know how that story ends. So maybe try that route. The team can go a lot of directions. We all know that, but it's not looking very good either way because right now we made a sandwich and we have to eat it. And fortunately, it might carry on to next year because if the cap goes down and you get rid of Cousins and you just cut him completely, there's money that you don't have that you need. So it's a really weird situation we're in.
Can we talk about my unpopular opinion?
Yeah, let's go.
Tell me what you guys think in the chat. It was a mistake to sign Dalvin Cook.
Ooh, there it is. There it is.
It's on the table. Let me know what you guys think. But I like Dalvin Cook when he's healthy. I just don't think that he can be a healthy, consistent piece for this team. And I think that we're not far enough along we're not going to be competitive for another couple years and having all that money tied up in a running back that maybe he'll be here, maybe he won't be here. We don't know when he's going to be healthy or not healthy. Boy, that's not helping the team at all. I like Dalvin Cook, but that's my opinion on it.
I think it's a fair price tag. I don't think they overpaid for him, but you're right. We only have 1 season of productivity out of him out of the last 3. And, yeah, it's a minor groin. He's going to get over 1,000 yards a season, barring an ACL tear. He's going to be good, but, I mean, I don't hate it. I don't know if I agree with it fully, but I don't hate what you just said. I know Skull Prod is like, what?
What?
I love this comment here. We have to talk about it. Since Adam and Thielen and JJ don't really work the slot, which they can, which I know what you meant there. It's not saying they can't. They don't really. You could call up Alexander Hollins to replace Beebe. Yeah, or Tajay Sharp or literally anyone else. The Chad Beebe experiment's over.
I really don't know what Chad Beebe does on this team other than, yeah, he's pretty good at standing there signaling that fair catch. He can sure signal that fair catch.
So is Amir Abdullah. So, whatever, I guess. Yeah, let's run down the stats from yesterday because it was abysmal. But Matt Ryan had a fucking career day. 30 of 40, 4 touchdowns, no picks, 136 quarterback rating. He was sacked twice. The Falcons rushed as a team for 99 yards, while the Vikings rushed for 32 total.
I'm not going to blame all that on Madison.
Not at all.
I mean, you need to. I don't care. Adrian Peterson he was on a terrible Vikings team for a long time too. He's also a Hall of Fame running back, so that's not a fair comparison. But what I'm saying is that you should be able to rise above it a little bit. I was hoping to see Madison rise above it and get it done, but what a shitty game for him to have to start in.
Hey, credit to the Falcons defense too, dude. They came to play. They were playing with attitude yesterday.
Yeah,
they definitely came to play. So this is a great one. Cleveland was a huge upgrade over Samia. I'd like to get his PFF grade just because, but yes. I don't understand giving it to Boone on 4th and 1. Dude, I don't understand what this team does anymore. All I know is Justin Jefferson's the truth, and just gonna keep feeding the ball. Right now, if you guys didn't see the graphic in Minnesota Viking history through 6 games, he has the most receiving yards by a rookie over Randy Moss and Stephon Diggs. He's at like 570 or 590 something right now through 6 games. He's definitely going to break 1,000 yards this year.
That 4th and 1 call, I hated giving it to Boone too. I don't care if Atlanta knew that we should have been throwing it to Kyle Rudolph in the back of the end zone. But come on, that's what Kyle Rudolph is good at. If we're going to be paying him all this money on 4th and 1 in that situation, throw him the ball in the back of the end zone and give him an opportunity.
Looks like the NFL's passed Gary Kubiak as a play caller. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Lots change. Think about this, guys. That's a good comment by Jason. Think about this. 5 years ago was 2015. The actual calendar year was 2015. And that's when the Broncos won. Now reverse it back 5 years before that to 2010. Look how much different football looks now compared to then, and then back 10 years. This is a great comment. It could actually be it. Also, on the flip side, is passing people by. Like, I love Zimmer to death, but we have like 3 defensive coordinators on this team, and we have a negative 37-point differential. So figure that shit out, guys. Figure it out.
Put that comment up. Moss-like? No, because there's no one that's Moss-like. That's a difficult comparison.
I do think that Thielen will be the number 2 receiver in about 2 years. I don't know that Justin Jefferson could be Moss-like. It's way too early to tell. I do like that projection. I don't think Thielen will be the number 2 because he sucks. I just think that Justin Jefferson is slightly above Thielen's. And sometimes Adam Thielen gets caught up on good corners. I've seen the moves that this kid makes, and because of the age difference there, I could definitely see that second part coming true. That's a good comment.
Adam Thielen's going to be in Minnesota for a long, long time, but I think age is going to catch up to him in 3-4 years. I think you'll see him kind of move inside, kind of do the Larry Fitzgerald thing, where you move from outside to inside. He's got stellar hands, so even if he starts to decline, which is a ways off, quite a ways off for him. But when that eventually happens, you just move him inside, and he can still run routes with the best of them and make those tough catches. He'll be here. He'll be here forever.
Here's a good one.
I
mean, if we're going into full rebuild mode, I don't know if you do it in the off season. I know he restructured this year, so would you just say fuck it and go for it and maybe throw Cleveland out there? I don't know. Wouldn't really care at this point because this team's not making the postseason. Their schedule is not going to allow that to happen. That'd be interesting if you just say fuck it and collect some assets. I wouldn't hate it. I don't know that I'd like to watch the product on the field, but I don't like watching the product on the field now. So
here's my question for School Prod. If we're going to move on from the left tackle, are we moving on from Harrison Smith? Are we moving on from Kyle Rudolph? I mean, are we going full-on rebuild we're sending these guys out. Like, how far are we going with it?
I hope Harrison Smith stays. Anthony Harris could go, even though I love him.
Yeah.
Anthony Barr could go. That's fine.
Sure.
Kyle
Rudolph can go.
Yeah, Kyle Rudolph needs to restructure. He's not worth the money he's getting paid to play tight end, especially to be a tight end one. I'm trying to think of anyone else. There's nobody really else that's worth that I would want to get rid of, especially defensively, because there's so many people that are gone.
George Iloka,
no-go. Daniil Hunter's a no-go. Unique's going to resign.
We'll give you George Iloka and a 7th-round pick, and we don't even need anything in return. You can just have him. Just take him. Whoever, whatever.
Those precious 7th-round picks from Rick Spielman.
Yeah.
No, this team's not going to move off of Adam Thielen. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think they're going to do that with Cook because they just gave him that contract. So, really, on defense, you probably see a couple of names go. If Harrison Smith left, I wouldn't be surprised. I just think that he likes Zimmer, and this is just me from over the years looking at him. Zimmer's never had anything bad to say about him, and he's been with him even before he got there. And I think he lets him play and do a lot of things that he wants to do, kind of freelancing a little bit, and he does it well. And he does everything well in the Mike Zimmer defense. So, Barr and Harris, I'd be okay with them bouncing next year. Probably going to have to anyways because of the money situation, but I don't know.
They should have let Harris bounce and draft Antoine Winfield Jr.
Tear it all down. Fire both. Go get Daniel Jeremiah. Got a GM bite on the bullet because of his contract. Trey Lance will lead us to the Super Bowl. It's a hot take right there.
Yeah.
That's a good hot take. I don't know. I haven't watched Trey Lance much. I wish that these guys were playing at bigger schools so that it's more NFL-style competition like the SEC, ACC, Big 10, Big 12, whatever. But, I mean, at this point, I think a younger guy who can move around and improvise, yeah. Skull Prod says, at least I'm excited for Gopher football. Hey, man, I'm a Tar Heels fan, and they're still top 10 in the country, which never happens. So I feel you on the college thing. That's really cool. I don't care about the rest of these stats. They're pretty terrible. Justin Jefferson had a day. Adam Thielen had a day. There were 2 sacks. Afadio Denebo had 1.5, and Jaleel Johnson was credited for a half. There were 10.5 tackles for loss, which is pretty awesome. 5 quarterback hits, but when you lose 40-23, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter, yeah.
Yeah. So that's
credit where credit's due. Unique has looked good.
Yeah, he's awesome. Especially coming in as late as he did, like the Sam Bradford deal that happened like 4 years ago, coming in like the week before the season. He's on pace. He's going to get double-digit sacks this year, so good for him.
I mean, again, this is unfair. Let me just compare guys to Hall of Fame players, but he's no Jared Allen, and to me, that signing was very reminiscent of the Vikings trying to go after Jared Allen, trying to add in that big piece on the defensive line that they thought was going to push them over the top. Unique is good, but he's no Jared Allen good. But who is? That's why Jared Allen is a Hall of Fame player, soon to be Hall of Fame player anyway.
Sorry, I'm texting while I'm doing this, so I'm a terrible person. Yeah, Jared Allen, definitely one of my top Vikings of all time. I thought you were going to show me some love, but they're not the same exact position. I thought you were going to say John Randall, and I was just going to drift off into the daydreaming mode and think about him chasing people down and with that crazy warrior face paint and killing people.
Right.
But this is cool. I like that comment from Skull Prod. Dancer gets to run is amazing. Part of the reason I gave him my game ball today. Zach Wilson from BYU. I'm going to look him up, Viking Jerome. Thanks for joining us, man, commenting. I haven't heard this person at all, but I'm going to look him up after this because I am intrigued. So the good news is going forward, the Vikings are on a bye week and they can't lose during the bye. So we'll postpone going 1-6 at least until the weekend after this one.
So do you expect the Vikings to make any big changes during the bye week?
Yes.
What do you think?
I don't know if anyone's going to get fired, but Mike Zimmer kind of alluded to it, and you brought it up in the chat as well. There are some people out there who know some people. They said they had a good feeling when the Diggs thing was going down, when they denied it like crazy, and then it happened. Major changes are going to be coming. I don't know. And we say on the show all the time, nothing's going to happen, and then something does, or we say something's going to happen, and then nothing happens. But
tomorrow,
right after this show, we'll get the news that somebody got fired or cut or some shit like that. But my dream scenario, which is not going to happen, is they move on from Kirk Cousins in the bye week. And then they just figure some shit out with a free agent. Maybe bring in Blake Bortles for like $400,000 and be like, hey, dude, you want to try to like play football again? You can be the starter.
We have traded Kirk Cousins for Patrick Mahomes.
I can't even begin to think of that because Kansas City's not that stupid.
The Minnesota Vikings receive Patrick Mahomes and a 7th-round draft pick.
The 7th rounder or no deal.
Right. You got to throw in that 7th rounder.
Let's go down the schedule really quick because I really want to predict the rest of this record for the rest of the year. It's going to be bad, y'all. It's going to be really bad.
Hey, find me a win. Detroit.
Okay, so the next game is November 1st at the Packers. Loss. Nope. Lions coming to Minnesota. That's going to be a tough game. Can't win there.
I'm going to say, yeah.
Well, okay, we'll say we'll split with Detroit. We'll say we'll split with them. So that's 1-6. That's 2-6. At the Bears, 2-7.
Nope.
Cowboys at Vikings. I'm not going to say they're going to beat the Cowboys. So that's 2-8.
It's Andy Dalton. So, but
Panthers at the Vikings. They have a really good defense. That's a toss-up as well. But they're still they're in the win. They're in the plus in the win column.
The Teddy revenge game.
So we'll leave that in the air. The Jaguars are not that good, so maybe 3-8, 3-9, somewhere in there. December 13th at the Buccaneers. God.
No.
Chicago Bears, December 20th. No. Saints on Christmas Day. What a lump of coal we're going to get then. No.
No.
This is a 5-11 football team. Holy shit, man. Yeah, they're definitely going to get a top 10 pick this year. Maybe 4-12. If we're lucky, 4-12 for draft.
Okay. But what you didn't factor in is what is the one game that we're going to win that we shouldn't, that will mess up our draft position? Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay will be
I would say the Cowboys game because it won't mean anything. It's not a divisional opponent, but it is in the conference, so it'll put us ahead in the conference seeding. So that'll definitely put us there. Yeah.
It's also Andy Dalton. You don't know what Andy Dalton's really going to look like. So,
well, I'm sorry I sent you guys down a depressive spiral there, looking into the future, but. I have to say, just as a diehard Viking fan, and Kyle and Adam have been following this team longer than me, we kind of knew this was going to happen. We've said it already on this show once this year, and we'll say it again. When you lose 5 starters on defense and good depth, they're going to suck. When your defensive tackle that you replace Linval Joseph with opts out because of COVID, you're not going to stop the run very well. Don't burn all your jerseys. Ride the wave. If you know it's going to be bad before it happens, at least that'll weather the disappointment a little bit. It's going to suck to watch. But I would say focus on Justin Jefferson. Watch the progressiveness of Jeff Gladney and Cameron Dantzler at cornerback. Watch Yannick Ngakoue speed rush the quarterback. Just look at those things. And if all else fails, you can watch Cook and Thielen do cool things. Kirk Cousins is really bad. The defense is not going to be where it needs to be because there are a lot of young pieces, but we'll see. There might be some changes coming. For better or for worse, I would say be careful what you ask for, but there are still good pieces here. There's still some reason to watch, but it's not going to be fun, and there's not going to be a lot of wins.
Yeah. After this game, it resets the expectations a little bit. The bar is all the way down here. And that helps a little bit. Maybe that's how Cleveland Browns fans have survived for as long as they are. You keep the bar really low, and then you just get pleasantly surprised when you go above it. I think that's kind of where I'm at with 2020.
Yeah, find your favorite player on the team right now, latch onto him, watch only them, and then figure out how they progress, how they match up with certain players everywhere
You
else.
know, the most disappointing season, I think, for me as a Vikings fan in recent memory has to be 2010. Just coming off that stellar 2000,
Yep.
the stellar 2009 performance, and the whole, we're getting the band back together, we're getting Brett Favre back, and we're going to go one more round. And then just how the wheels not only fell off the wagon, but the wagon started on fire. I mean, that was a bad year to be a Vikings fan because expectations were Super Bowl or bust for the 2010 team. I think that was about probably the hardest season we've had for quite a while. There was the 3-win season with Christian Ponder, but did anybody really expect Christian Ponder to take us to the promised land? Not really.
I don't know. I don't know, man. That 3-13 year was fucking rough, but I will say that for the most part, yeah, that coming off that high, you're in the overtime in the NFC Championship game, and then that happens, you're pretty much like, oh, okay. This is not at all how we predicted. And then remember, I've talked about it on the show many times. He died on the field throwing his last touchdown to Percy Harvin and had to watch Joe Webb come in. It was so bad,
right?
But oh man, that's a lot.
So the hardest part about that, the 2009 loss to the Saints, was the NFL admitting by changing the overtime rules the following season that was a shitty way for that game to end, and that they don't want games to end like that anymore. For them to be like, yeah, we really don't want games to end on that field goal, so we're just going to go ahead and change the rules so that doesn't ever happen again.
I mean, we can't say much. The fucking Saints have gotten shit on. They missed the Super Bowl because of a terrible PI. So I get it. It happens to other teams. Same part of the playoffs too. But yeah, heartbreak. I'm sorry. We put it up earlier. Skull Prod says he hasn't been through a losing season as a fan so far. Welcome, dude. It's like every other year, they're just not up to expectation. If it was guaranteed to get Trevor Lawrence, if we went 1-15, would you rather that than 5-11? Yeah, I would. I'm with you, John. Absolutely, dude. I think he's going to be as good as Peyton Manning. Just watching him, the dude is fucking awesome, and he's playing against teams that are legit NFL caliber teams. You know, they got a lot of prospects there. Beating Alabama, going toe to toe with the best football team I've ever seen in college last year with LSU. Yeah, he's legit. So many. Oh, Lee, what's up? Haven't seen you on here before. If you have, my apologies. My first time recognizing this name. So many years of being let down, kind of used to a very low bar of expectation. I mean, yeah, especially after coming off like a kind of like a miracle. I won't call it a miracle win last year. They definitely outplayed the Saints, but you were like, nobody in America picked them to win in New Orleans. We're like, holy shit, they won a playoff game with Kirk Cousins. Yeah, the hype going into it and looking at the schedule, you're like, this might be a down year. And history kind of told us that, but that's kind of on the money, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, it's nice to come to this therapy session that we call the Purple People Podcast.
There was not a lot of positivity.
No, there's not. Justin Jefferson's good. Adam Thielen's good. Unique Ngakoue is fast. I like the corners development. And that is the show. That's pretty much it.
Thank you for coming.
We may see some changes, and if we do, if it's big enough that we have to call an emergency show, maybe we'll do it.
We will.
We're pretty much like a one show a week kind of deal. So if something major happens, this is Monday, so a lot could happen between now and 2 weeks from now when the next game is over. But we may call an emergency show and call that the middle. We'll see. We'd like to keep it every Monday, Tuesday if we can. Mm-hmm. But it's pretty much it. Just we'll come together, man. And if you guys message us on our Facebook page or you comment on some of our posts, we'll be sure to talk about them and interact with you because like today in the chat, we've had a ton of good interaction.
Great chat.
We've had a lot of interesting ideas, like the Reef deal, or who can we get rid of on defense? Like a lot of really good stuff. So we really enjoyed the community that we have here that follows us. It might be small, but there's a lot of good people in this chat, so we really appreciate it.
Shout out to Jason, who's had a lot of good discussion, a lot of good comments today.
Oh, Skull Prod says something positive. The Colts started 1-5, made the playoffs in 2018. Yeah, that's true. Didn't they also have Andrew Luck? That was his last year, right?
Yeah, I think so. 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's probably why. There are moons and worlds between Andrew Luck and Kirk Cousins and a great offensive line. But I like that. Thanks for the positivity, Skull Prod. Sorry, this is a shitty season for you to keep watching, but we'll be here, and we'll be here to vent with you next week and the week after that and the week after that, all the way up to the end of the season. And
then into the off season.
Do you have anything else for as far as the game or looking forward, or you want to do this closeout like we normally do?
I think we've touched upon just about everything that we need to talk about. I think so.
We miss Adam Carlson today. He had other plans, so he'll be back next week. Hopefully, we'll have the trio in. Right now, we're going to do some promotions. Thank you guys for watching, coming through this here. Jason, Skull Prod, Viking Jerome. Who else did we have? John. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Ryan was up there earlier. Appreciate everyone. Let's do some promos and end this show. Kyle West, you get to go first. I don't have it on, but I do have it back here because I need to wash it. I did get the long sleeve. I ordered like a long sleeve sweatshirt of the Purple People podcast, so I'll wear that next time. I just haven't gotten around to my laundry because it's got that like factory print smell on it, but it looks great, and I'm really excited to wear it on the show because it's going to be hoodie weather soon. Did
it come out straight?
I can take a look at it. We'll take a look after the show's over. I don't want to dig through my laundry on the show, but I'll definitely take a look. I don't mind it, man. It's our unique stuff, and I'll promote it next week, and we'll
right on.
We'll show everyone. While you promote your stuff, I'm going to read through our chat and update the Survival League.
Awesome. So you said promo, so I have to start out by saying, let me tell you something, Mean Gene, because I have to. Let me tell you something, Mean Gene. You can check my photography workout using the link below, right down here on the screen. You can get the Purple People podcast merchandise, like what Kyle Smith was talking about. You can get it on T-shirts, hoodies. You can get it on stickers. You can get it on phone cases. Any way that you want to support the podcast, you can do so. You can get our logo out there. That really helps us out quite a bit. I also have lots of other photography work that you can get on prints, 8x10s, whatever. It is the gift giving season, or it will be soon. So if you are looking for something different, fun, and unique, please check my work out. Support your local business and independent artists, because we always appreciate it.
All right. I can't find this, and I am scrolling up to a lot of stuff we were talking about. This is like 4 days ago. So we'll get you an update next week on the Survival League. You know why I don't have anything? Because I'm already out, because I'm a terrible guesser of football games, and the teams that I pick to win get upset. You would think the Colts would beat the Jaguars, and that didn't happen. Oh, man. Lee Mott says it's wet and windy in the UK. Ugh, sorry about that.
Well, it's been snowing here in Iowa, so.
You know what? I don't like Texas, but I'm glad it's not snowing. It was like 70 today, so it felt like California weather. So I'll take that any day of the week. I'm going to be cold when I go back to Tennessee after Thanksgiving. I know. I have
friends in part of the state who got 6 inches of snow today.
Nope, I'm not built for that. Nope, I'm a tropical person. Can't do it. Check out Adam Carlson's work on the Viking Age. If you go to thevikingage.com and find an article that Adam Carlson wrote, go to the bottom and comment. That's all we ask of you. You don't even have to say anything. Just type the letter V for Viking or something. That'll pump his numbers up for interaction, and he'll get paid more. That's how he pays the bills. You can also follow his Twitch account where he streams video games, I believe. And that's pretty cool. We got him up and promoted this enough to where some of you guys, including myself, subscribe to his Twitch channel. And now he's a paid partner with them. So that's kind of cool. You should follow him on Twitch. And Undead Walking, if you are a Walking Dead fan, check out Adam Carlson's work there at Undead Walking as well. He does phenomenal work, and that is how he pays the bills. And I will always help promote my friends' things that get them paid. Lastly, like, share, and subscribe to our pages. YouTube, if you're watching it now, you're already there. Click like on the video, give it a thumbs up. It'll get our ratings up. Leave a nice comment if you want. And if you don't subscribe to the Facebook page, we do updates on there just about every day for transactions, injury news. We definitely let you know every week when we're going to go live to schedule it ahead. But if you go to our YouTube page and you hit that little bell at the top, I schedule everything here, and I'm the host for the show as far as the technical side. We'll let you know when we're going live, and it'll give you a reminder. So just keep that in mind if you want to keep interacting. And this is the last news that we have to talk about today. It was sad. I wanted to end on this anyways, but yes, Sid Hartman passed away yesterday, early before the game. I don't have a lot of information on anything like age-wise. We don't know what happened. I'm assuming it was natural stuff, death, but I'll let you take over and get a little piece of it.
Sid was 100 years old. He has been with us for a really, really long time, and he worked with the Pioneer Press right on up until the very end. He actually just had an article published the other day. It is an amazing, outstanding career. I don't know if you know this, Kyle Smith. He was actually part of what originally brought the Minnesota Lakers NBA franchise to Minnesota. So he is definitely a legend around Minnesota, Minneapolis in particular. So he had been covering the Minnesota Vikings since the Minnesota Vikings became an organization. It is no joke when we say that, like, Sid Hartman has seen more Vikings football probably than anyone alive. He witnessed the entire birth of the franchise right on up until just a couple days ago. That is amazing to have written about and to witness that much history. I know they have a tribute to him in US Bank Stadium. They have a really cool piece of, like, they have all that custom artwork that they put up, and I don't know if you remember that from when they built it. Bud Grant, Randy Moss, all the legends. Sid Hartman has a piece up there as well too. So he will definitely be missed. I know that I always looked forward to whenever they would do the rookie press conferences. Sid Hartman would always interrupt some other reporter and have some question. And everyone in the room had so much respect for him that they would just be quiet and just listen to Sid and give him the floor, and he would ask 2 or 3 questions, and sometimes they'd be a little out there because he was like 90 years old, but it was good stuff, and we'll miss Sid here in Minnesota.
I'll tell you what I remember there, and you kind of hit the nail on the head. When Sid would talk, people had the respect that even though he was slowing down and he talked a little bit slowly, and maybe you already knew the answer to the question, but good old school journalism and reporting is what I remember for the very small pieces that I remember of this guy. But I remember everyone, like you said, being silent and giving him the option. And, Mike Zimmer fucking hates all the press, but when he got to talk to him, you could hear like, hey, I'm going to answer this guy's question because he's a staple here. So I'm glad that you shared that. I'm glad that you shared some information I didn't know personally. And we just wanted to make sure we rounded out the show and talked about good old Sid, man. He's gonna be remembered for a long time.
Man.
Nobody's gonna have that kind of tie to the Vikings for that long, other than probably Bud Grant. So that's it.
I love the way that Sid he always used the actual tape recorder with the microphone. That's
amazing.
Well past the time that anyone would be using an actual tape recorder. And I always wondered, like, where is he getting blank tapes at? I don't even know if you can still buy blank cassette tapes.
You know what probably happened? It's probably like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and call up a company to do that. And then they're going to say, you know what? It's for Sid. Don't worry, it's on the house.
Right on.
They're keeping us in business. Oh, man. Well, thank you to everyone who stayed with us this far. We hope that things will be better. Probably not. Just prepare yourself for them to be terrible. But thank you to everyone in the chat who interacted. You helped build this show. Go support our stuff. And yeah, we will talk to you very soon. We'll leave it up here as we sign off. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that little notification bell, and it'll let you know when we're ready to talk some more football next week. But until then, stay safe and stay classy, Minnesota.